Hello there, my name is Alice. In today's video, I'll be talking about top-up modules eventually, but I'm going to start from a basic foundation of the courses that we do as biomedical scientists. I think this will help you understand whether you're going to need top-up modules and why you will require top-up modules, where you can get top-up modules from, basically the whole concept of IBMS top-up modules. So I'm just going to be explaining. I'll do a bit of foundational explanation at the beginning, and then we'll go into the IBMS top-up modules. But every part of this video is equally important, so I want you to watch to the end. If you want to be a biomedical scientist, it's very important for you to have an insight into the courses that we did in undergrad, so you can understand why you might require IBMS top-up modules. The courses you're going to do as a master's student in biomedical science is nothing near the courses that are required as an undergrad student. So let's just go into this Excel sheet. In Nigeria, MLS is a 5-year course, while in the UK, biomedical science, which is the same thing, is actually a 3-year course. We also have 2 semesters like this, but the only difference is we do 5 years, which now that I think about it, that's a lot. Everything you're going to do in 100 level is basically the same thing as any other science course. Like, we all do the same courses in 100 level. If you're a bioscience graduate and you had biomedical science friends or medical laboratory, I'm just going to stick with MLS so we don't keep going the back and forth. So if you had MLS students as friends, you understand that you remember that in your 100 level we all did the same course. 100 level first semester, that's when you start getting introduced to your core course. You start doing histopathology, general microbiology, ignore the analytical chemistry, that is biochemistry. Then we do anatomy, we do physiology. So the parts that are core courses are like the hematology, clinical biochemistry, that course, let's just ignore that for this video. But the parts that are core courses, you do the hematology, look at the histopathology, microbiology. It's not really so much of a core, but it's just like creating foundation for us. And then in 200 level, that's when you start your laboratory skills. So for each semester, in this places, different schools are going to use different codes, but for my school we always said, so MLS 201 was always in first semester, MLS 202 was second semester. So the odd numbers were used for first semester, even numbers were used for second semester for our course codes. And 300 level, all the courses we do are strictly core courses, which is like now we go fully into our core courses as MLS students, and then we start talking about biochemistry, parasitology, hematology, immunology, histopathology. And now from year 3 to year 4, just the entire 2 years, year 3 and year 4, you're going to be using it to go into different areas of this core course. So immunology, medical parasitology, these are like full course contents that are actually taught for 3 months, for about 3 months in some places, like 3 to 4 months, because that's what makes up a semester. But then in every semester, you're going to have to do a laboratory skill course. If you look at the corner, I said MLS 201, MLS 202, MLS 301, MLS 302. So each semester we did a laboratory skill course, which was like 3 units, I believe. And then we always did laboratory posting. In Nigeria, we always did a 6 weeks laboratory posting. So this is to help you understand that the course itself was quite intense. Then in 500 level, depending on what specialty, most people specialize in the 5th year. I think there are only a handful of universities that actually don't specialize in the 5th year, but most schools will tell you to pick a specialty, and then in your 5th year you are going to specialize on what area. So if you're picking hematology, throughout your 5th year you're going to be doing everything hematology throughout your 5th year, and maybe a bit of research methodology, because that's also when you're going to be working on your projects. Now, one important thing to note is also that we have 2 professional exams we do as MLS students in Nigeria. Our first professional exam is always after our 400 level, towards the end of 400 level second semester. And if you do not pass your first professional exam, you cannot go to write your second professional exam. The UK system, like I mentioned earlier, is a 3-year course program. In terms of comparison, I would say the UK year 1 is equivalent to a Nigerian 200 level in terms of course content. Their year 2 is equivalent to our 300 level, while their year 3 is equivalent to our 400 level. Now they don't specialize like we do, which is our 5th year. You can see that they also do cell biology, microbiology, genetics and molecular biology, biochemistry, human anatomy. They also do clinical biochemistry, hematology, immunology, medical microbiology, research, cellular pathology, transfusion science, molecular diagnostics. So they actually take every specialty. So for you to be a biomedical scientist, you have to have taken courses in every single specialty of biomedical science. When they give you the license to be a biomedical scientist, nobody's going to write on your license that biomedical scientists that specializes in medical microbiology. No, except anyone goes through your course content, so that's when they will know what you specialize in. But then it's always very important that as a biomedical scientist, you're trained in all areas of biomedical science. Now, let's bring this home to the reason for this video. So if you're a bioscience graduate and you did biochemistry or you did microbiology, now you can understand that when comparing your courses in comparison with someone who did like a biomedical scientist or an MLS student, your course are everything you're going to do for your course. As a biochemistry student, you learn everything biochemistry. As a microbiology student, you learn everything microbiology. Now you are lacking the part of hematology, you're lacking the part of histopathology, you're lacking the part of immunology. And microbiology is also different from clinical microbiology. People don't seem to get that. A microbiology student will not go as in depth into clinical microbiology as an MLS student will go. For MLS students, when they're teaching microbiology, they are not going to focus on any microbiology that is not clinically relevant to humans. As a biomedical science student, you have to literally dive deep into these individual areas as single individual courses. So if you're going to be changed from any of the bioscience degree, you'll now understand why you will require a top-up module, why the HCPC will not just accept your course like that just because you did microbiology. Even if to your own argument or to everybody's argument, you might like, oh, I did microbiology, I just want to work in a microbiology lab. But the way the profession has been set up, it has not been set up to just train people in one specialty. It has been set up to train people in different specialties. So they don't expect that if I move a biomedical scientist, for majorly what I've been doing so far as a person, I've been focusing more on microbiology, immunology, molecular. But because I am a biomedical scientist, if I am moved today to hematology, even if I have not practiced hematology for a while, I can still fit in. Being a biomedical scientist means you should be equipped in all areas. Now let's go to top-up modules. It's the IBMS requirement for top-up modules. For your IBMS assessment, you have to send your specific course information form to the IBMS, and they will give you a detailed assessment that is peculiar to you. But I'm just giving a generalized view of what's from time past, at least from previous times, what they've asked different specialties to do. So in terms of for biochemistry graduates, people who did a biochemistry in their undergrad, they had been requested to do clinical biochemistry, clinical immunology, hematology, clinical microbiology if they've showed no prior exposure. And basically all they will just focus on are core clinical laboratory skills. For microbiology, same thing, they will be asked to focus on clinical microbiology, infection and immunity, clinical biochemistry if you've had no prior exposure, and also hematology. And they want you to have a full knowledge of all the areas of biomedical science, meaning that anybody should be able to pick you and put you in another lab and you should still be able to function properly. The IBMS assessment, you pay differently for the IBMS assessment, and depending on the number of modules they ask or they require from you, you would have to pay with any university. If you can, I know financially is a lot, especially for international students. If you have the money to do it, it's easier if you can do the module, because it's like a whole semester. Like it's not like a module that you do then 3 hours like crash course. It's like a proper semester where you have to join the school and pay for the module, do the assessment, go for lectures and all those shebang and all those things. Basically you have to like go for lectures. Some will offer virtual, some will say you have to come in person at certain times. Like there's a number of attendance you have to meet, you have to write an assessment and everything, get your results when the uni is releasing results. So it's like literally going to school again. So the estimated cost per module is always 700 to 1,300 per module, and that is dependent on the university. Most universities that are IBMS accredited for their undergrad program will always offer a package. There's something called the module credit system. That is how universities will bill you. Most universities will bill you or say on their website. So most universities use a 10 to 20 credits a unit system, either a 10, a 15, or 10, 15, or a 20 credit system. Now if you're coming from Nigeria, to understand the credit system, it's just like the way we say, oh, we have a 1 unit course, you have a 2 unit course, you have a 3 unit course. So courses, a module rather, or a module or a course can be 10 credits, a module or a course can be 15 credits, a module or a course can be 30 credits. I think for research projects it's always 60 credits thereabouts, depending on the uni, but some units will just do 15 credits unit, 15 credit module. So for my masters, I remember University of Salford, most of our modules were 15 credits. So let's use an example of each module being 15 credits. Now for the University of Portsmouth, they offer almost all the module you require depending on what IBMS asks you to do, and they offer the cost per module. They do a package where they do £2,312.50 for a 30 credit module. These courses are at June 2025, so if you are still watching this video in the future, please check their website to confirm. So this means that you're going to be paying £2,312 for 2 courses if each of your modules are 15 credits. So they said £2,312, so that's roughly £1,150 per module. So if you're lucky and your courses are maybe a 10 credit module, you're going to be paying less than £1,000 for each module, meaning that you're going to be paying 2,300 for 3 courses. University of Derby, they offer 1,190 per 20 credit module. So if courses are 10 credit module, that means you have the option of having 2 courses at 1,190 module. London Metropolitan University, they put theirs is per 10 credit or 1,000 per 20 credit module. So you're going to look at the modules, what are the modules that IBMS has said I need to do, how many credit modules are there in total. Then you're going to have to go through different universities and compare prices and say, oh, this looks cheaper, I can afford this, depending on the number of modules like you're asked to do. The mode of study, most universities will offer in person, they will offer hybrid, where some days you can actually join in virtually and some days you might have to come in physically. So it's also very important for you to make your research and know what will work for you. So I hope this kind of has cleared the option about top-up modules and what you will need in terms of top-up modules and in terms of also payment. Let's talk about all this. I think as immigrants, I've gone through this. I've tried to look out for people who have actually done this IBMS portfolio, and I realized that not a lot of people who are bioscience graduates are doing it, which is understandable because look at the costs. If you are not if you don't plan for it very well, it can be a lot of money, and most of us, we come here doing our masters, which is already a lot of money, which is a lot of investment. Then having to pay up for this IBMS assessment can be a lot, and it's not something, like I've said in my previous videos, it's not something that you do in a day and you just get over with it. It's actually a process. It's something you have to prepare for. You have to sign up for modules, and I realized that most times, 9 times out of 10, most people who are able to get IBMS assessed and eventually get to HCPC registration who didn't do biomedical science as their undergrad degree, they were able to do so while working. Now, I realized recently that there's a scheme where employers can actually take their staffs to who want to do further training. So let's say you're an AP, you're an associate practitioner, and then you want to become a biomedical scientist. There is a scheme where the employer can actually push them forward for IBMS assessment. You get the IBMS assessment done, pay for maybe some, depending on the trust, it's very trust specific or employer specific. They might decide that, okay, we will pay for your school fees, or we'll pay for certain modules and then you cover this, or we will pay for 70% and you cover 30%, or then the 30% we're going to be removing it out of your salary over time. There's always a form of arrangement different trusts or employers will come up with. So most people who have actually been able to successfully complete the IBMS assessment that I know of or that I have met have actually been people who have been working, and then they've been able to go through the employer scheme. Because you check the NHS system, or people who work in the NHS, you see a lot of people who started probably as AP, as MLAs, and then they graduate and then they're able to get their stuff assessed, do more courses, and they become biomedical scientists and even go up to the point of band 8, band 7. Though it's a process that I understand. So if you're out there and you're planning to be a biomedical scientist, another option is looking at what scheme your employer can actually offer you in terms of education support. I think that will go a long way. I think this is a conversation obviously we should have. I'm going to be thinking about doing interview videos about interview tips and how you can ace interviews. Let me know if you're interested. If there's specific things you want to say in terms of looking for job search interviews here in the UK, specifically here in the UK, in the lab. I think I should also add that caveat, here in the UK, and lab-based roles basically. Let me know if you would like to see more of that. I'm going to just put tips out there, and if you've seen anyone or anyone who is interested in sharing their story. Maybe they're a bioscience graduate and they've gone through this route. I'm open to bringing people on platform, so please reach out to me. If you're a bioscience graduate and you've gone through this route, please reach out to me on my Instagram, on my LinkedIn. I'll put my handles down in the description. So please, if you have an experience and you like to share with people that can help or benefit anyone in any way, please reach out to me. If you learned one or two things from this video, do not forget to like this video, share with your friends, drop a comment. It goes a long way in encouraging me that apart from my 9 to 5, I'm actually putting out content that is actually helping people. I'm putting out content that are actually insightful. So please do so. Subscribe if you've not subscribed, share with your friend, and let me know what you think. If there are questions you have, please put them in the comment section, and I will do well to answer them to the best of my knowledge once I see them. Thank you so much. Till I come your way in another video.